President Berger-Sweeney, faculty trustees, the graduating class of 215, and all of you who are parents and friends and neighbors of those who are graduating of this university, I express my great appreciation for this honor bestowed upon me. I am, in fact, quite excited and thrilled to be here along with my wife, Dorothy. We have a very personal connection to your university through your new president. We want to congratulate her for this, her first year as president of this distinguished college, a college that I've known about probably all of my life from my own college days in 1947. When Dorothy and I moved under the auspices of the United Methodist Church to be the pastor of the 2,000-member congregation in Los Angeles, Holman, Joanne Berger-Sweeney was a high school student. Her family was all a part of that congregation. They were a part of the great number of people who I isolated and became friends with. And what a great sensation it is to have lived long enough to see a high school student from Holman, outstanding neuro scholar, science scholar, outstanding professor, now launching her life in a new stream as president of this wonderful Trinity College. I want to congratulate her and you and hope that this will be the absolute finest experience of her life and work thus far. And may this college blossom and bloom in this new period of your history. I am pleased to be here. Let me congratulate all of the class people of 2015 and say to you how wonderful it is that you've made this great achievement. And say to your parents and neighbors and friends that all of you should rejoice in this day and see it as a triumphant day, a moment of commencement. Commencement, of course, meaning the transition from this period of your lives to the vast opportunities that are ahead of you across the decades. I have a simple theme, which I hope to do in about 15 minutes. It is hot out here, and I feel the heat as well, even though I come from Los Angeles now. My theme is this, that as you celebrate this day, I hope that you will celebrate it in exuberant ways. No doubt you will. But I trust that at the same moment, in between the moments of exaltation, you will look to the great Spirit within you. And in the deep places from which you live and out of which you live, see this as a great call, invitation to your life to determine that no matter where you are, no matter who you are, no matter how you are, you will allow your life to join life itself and not the enemies of life in any capacity, that you will make your choice, that you will be the person that eternity wishes you to be. You will see life in its large dimensions, if I can use a theological term, that you will line up your energy, your visions, your hopes, your ambitions, your aspirations with history on the long side of life itself. So this is a simple invitation to you to make your life count in every fashion possible, because our world desperately needs a new race of human beings who are no longer stuck in the old ancient disorders of oppression and fear, no longer despising their own lives and the lives of others, but racing to pull our full resources into the clamor of life itself, to be free and equal and just, and to build not only families and communities and neighborhoods and nations, to build an earth that is in the sight of the universe fair, like the earth that we've inhabited and inherited. An invitation to use your life for the things that make for good, for the things that make for beauty, for the things that make for mystery and wonder and the impossible claims. The first point I want to make in this address is this: that your life is the most precious gift you have. There's no human quantification by which you can measure its value. Remember all the lives that have gone before us. Remember that modernity is maybe only about 20,000 years old, but your journey already represents a journey of more than 500,000 or 1 million, or perhaps beyond that journey of the human family to where we are today. We may think that the now is the only reality we experience, but as theologians of the past have insisted, you are the past living today in present tense. And make certain that your present tense not only continues the dismantling of the past that we need to let go, but make sure that your present tense is beyond your own imagination and grasp for your present and for your future. Let me suggest to you how much value your life is as the great gift of eternity to you. Some biologists have been saying to us over the last 30 or 40 years that each one of us human beings have in us the debris of the Big Bang, the elements created out of that, what we call the Higgs particle or the God particle, the beginning of mass, are in us, so that we are not simply a contemporary entity of life. We are in our very veins consistent with the journey of the past as well as the present, and we point life towards the tomorrows that we hope for. Ernest Mayr, a biologist, has guessed and speculated that thus far in our Earth, some 50 billion living species have existed. Each one of them, he suggests, has lived about 100,000 years before their own extinction or their evolution into something else. But he said, we are the only living species. We are the only living thing that across the centuries of our journey, we've learned to sing. We've learned to create families. We've learned to think. We've learned to invent. We have worked with the laws of gravity so that we can fly. We have learned to transport ourselves everywhere. We are the ones who have painted and sculptured. The only species of some 50 billion living things that have preceded us and with whom we are now in company today. You matter. One of the great messages of the nonviolent direct movement action of which I was a part for some 17 years in the southeastern part of our country was this saying to ordinary people: you are somebody. You are a child of the universe. The energy of life and love that are in you cannot be repeated anywhere else. That life gift is a gift of power. You do not have to, as a human being graced by life itself, you do not have to consent to things that are wrong and untrue and are ugly in the world. You can, in the heart of hearts, commit yourself to a life that identifies your life, no matter how difficult it may be or how complicated it may be, to identify your life to that which is good and beautiful and just and fair. You can identify yourself not by your external features, but by the internal forces that life plants in you. We in America have a hard time understanding nonviolence, either from Gandhi, its father in the 20th century, or from Martin Luther King Jr., who has to be the symbol of the nonviolent struggle into Western civilization. We do not understand it because we're very often gripped by the mythology of violence. But violence is a lie. It does not fulfill the promises that it makes and has made. Over the last 50 years or so, our violence in America and outside of America has become an atrocious violation of the universe itself. We must identify ourselves no longer with violence of speech, violence of the fist or the weapon, or violence of the systems of oppression that we live under. We must identify ourselves with the truth of the power of every living human being, no matter where they are or what they are. Nonviolent power is, as Gandhi said, about the creative power of the universe. And if we human beings can learn to tap that power that begins in your life and my life, we will be astonished at what our lives can mean in terms of the other kind of world that history would have for our own country and for the world itself. I invite you to line up your life on the human side of things, to identify your life with all human beings everywhere, whether you know them or not, but to see in those who are your intimate people what they are far away, and to recognize that that soul force is the force by which, if you use it and tap it and learn about it and understand it, you will be amazed at what a singular life can propose for the future that unfolds in a different fashion from the present moment. Nonviolent power is creative power, it's soul power. It's the power that begins with our infinite ability as human beings to determine that we're on the side of creation and not on the side of destruction, or on the side of hope and not on the side of despair, or on the side of truth and not on the side of the lies of destruction and destructive violence and the rest. Violence in the world today is not the agenda of the great masses of people on earth. I came across another illustration of this in just recent days. In the front page of the Los Angeles Times, the catastrophe of the earthquake that has hit Nepal, with hundreds dead, and the rest of it. Well, there's a 38-year-old native of Nepal who's had the chance to travel to be engaged in business, but he returned home some years ago and has been taking photographs of ordinary people in the paths of Nepal and doing the earthquake. He's been putting those pictures on Facebook and the Twitter and the rest. And there is this picture of this beautiful middle-aged Nepalese who has had her home destroyed, and she's sitting on the steps of what was once the porch. A huge grin and smile across her face. And this is what she said to the photographer. There is no other choice than to endure, no other choice than to somehow survive, no other choice than to be for someone else. There is no other choice than to hope, no other choice than to cry and regret, and no other choice than to sit and laugh in the midst of tragic circumstances. Her agenda is the agenda of most men and women and children and young people around our world, not conquering how much wealth, not conquering other territories, not the agendas of our big financial institutions or even of our own government, but rather the agenda of the well-being under every circumstance of each person, and in each person, beginning with yourself, that you work in that fashion. You, in a way, you help to save the whole earth. The beginning place of power is to make your choice as to what side of history upon which you will stand. Far too many people in our times, in our own nation, too many of us, of the 315 million, we the people of the United States of America, which begins the preamble of our Constitution, are shaped more by the ancient wrongs of the past, racism and sexism and violence and plantation capitalism. We take our ideologies from those forces that are a part of our history, which we have to embrace if we're going to change it. An ideology that says that some people don't count and don't matter, can be dispensed with, can be marginalized, are no good, understand only violence. So I have never seen in my own 8 decades of life the despising of other human beings that's going on in various circles in a public way, even in the media, even in politics, locally and nationally. I say to you, this graduating class and all of us who are gathered here, the purpose of the finest human beings of our journey have always been to let life stand on the human side for the hope of the advance of the race. That is the human race. Do not allow yourself to be identified by some of the labels that are going on in our world at all. Identify yourself fundamentally as a child of the universe, alive, seeking to let that life enlarge in ways that will one day allow the human race to stand at thresholds of advance that we had never imagined possible. Eternity is not finished with you or finished with us of the human family. The call to life is always a call to put behind us the things that slay and bruise and destroy, and to lift up life itself as the center of infinite possibilities for all. The world in which we presently live, whatever be the achievements of the nation that we may applaud today, they are a pale paper next to the world that is yet possible, next to the nation that is yet possible. The vision of July 4th 1765. Mark what I said, 1765. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal, that all are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No people began with that kind of a preamble. It is complicated and it's tough, but I submit to you that it's an experiment to lift the historic oppression of the past from the top down, from the kings and the aristocracy and the power places and the wealth. An effort to move from that sort of organized world to the new world that is available. What this country experienced in the nonviolent direct action movement that changed the face of this nation, that makes this gathering possible even this morning, this day, is that experiment, we must stop denying it. We must affirm it. And we must affirm it in every crossroad, in every valley, in every part of our land. I invite you to seize and accept the gift of life and to use it on the side of life and love and justice and hope. You will discover then human life as an astonishing journey, as an amazing venture that ever enlarges your own mind and heart and soul and spirit, but will indeed allow your life to apply maximum force, maximum love, maximum beauty to the journey of life itself. A new world, a new nation, these are possible. We are not stuck in the concrete of the present moment. We can be in every facet what life itself offers. Make this commencement not your last commencement, but the beginning. And may your life be remarkably blessed. May it be remarkably used in every possible fashion, so that your lives will help our nation and our world to become the human family that creation itself demands. Thank you.